And there are some pretty big developments that are happening on the tariff war front. The American President Donald Trump is now threatening to impose a massive 50% tariff on all European Union goods from the 1st of June, accusing the European Union bloc of stonewalling trade talks and exploiting the United States with what he calls outrageous barriers. In a Truth Social post this morning, Trump wrote, and I quote him here, "They're powerful trade barriers, VAT, taxes, ridiculous corporate penalties, non-monetary trade blocks, monetary manipulation, and unjustified lawsuits that have led to a U.S. trade deficit of over $250 billion per year. This is totally unacceptable." Now, this proposed tariff more than doubles the earlier 20% reciprocal duty briefly imposed in April, and this would also mark as one of the most aggressive trade moves in recent US-EU history. That earlier measure was paused to allow for further negotiations, but with talks faltering, the pause is set to expire on the 9th of July, and Trump appears to be done waiting. So far, the only breakthrough from this freeze has been a bilateral deal with the United Kingdom. Trump, of course, seems ready to trigger a full-blown transatlantic trade war. If enacted, the tariffs could send shockwaves through global markets, hammering the EU exports from luxury cars to machinery and agricultural goods, while also escalating tensions between Washington and Brussels. A 50% EU tariff would be a tectonic jolt to Europe's economy and also to the US-EU relationship. And our correspondent Will Denslow is, of course, joining us with more details from Brussels. Will, this is a big moment. 50% tariffs that has come through because Trump feels that the negotiations and the talks with the European Union are not going according to what he expects. How does the European Union intend to respond to this? Because these tariffs will kick into effect from the 1st of June.
The timing of this is certainly incredibly significant, considering the fact that the United States over recent weeks has been making some degree of deals, as you rightly mentioned, the likes of with the UK, with China, at least maybe not deals in all those occasions, but at least some degree of concessions and easing of tensions, with a de-escalation when it comes to these global trade tensions. However, it seems that in the eyes of Washington, the EU is somewhat of a pariah. We've heard from Scott Bessent, the US Treasury Secretary, echoing what we've heard from US President Donald Trump, saying that Brussels is not negotiating in good faith. That has been firmly rejected by the European Commission, saying that they are taking all steps to work to improve ties with Washington. They say they're interested in win-win, not lose-lose cooperation. This announcement from the US president also comes before a call is expected between Maroš Šefčovič, the EU's trade commissioner, and his US counterpart Jameson Greer to hammer out what was supposed to be the outlines for negotiations between the EU and Washington on these trade talks. There's also been reported the EU proposing concessions to the tune of the EU taking in a further $50 billion or so worth of additional US goods. But this message we're hearing from the Trump administration seems that these kinds of concessions, these conciliatory noises we're hearing from Brussels, have not been met with the response that many in the Commission certainly would have been hoping for, as they seek to avoid an escalation in this trade conflict.
Indeed, do continue to stay on with this, Will Denslow. I want you to weigh in on another important story from the European Union. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.